How are you guys doing? I hope things are well, or relatively so. There's this concept in Judaism that God creates the medicine before he creates the disease. And it's a hard one to tackle because we're like, okay, if you created the medicine, where is it? But we'll leave that speculation for later. And we're going to talk about potatoes because if we look at history, we could see this whole medicine before the disease happening. Last time we spoke about potatoes, I told you of a man, I need to read his name again, which is Antoine Auguste Parmentier, who is a soldier in the French army during the 7 Years' War. And during that time, he's imprisoned in a German prison. And the Germans, even though potatoes had been introduced to Europe like 200 years before, everywhere in Europe, potatoes are really just meant for livestock. While in prison, the German authorities serve potatoes to livestock and to French prisoners. After his long stint in prison, Parmentier comes out and he's healthy. So these potatoes that were meant to cause either leprosy or poison do the reverse. He's healthy, he's sound of body and mind, and he goes on a campaign to feed potatoes to the masses of French peasants. He actually enlists Louis XVI, later of revolutionary fame, he doesn't really survive the revolution, into planting potatoes for the masses. No one really gets on board with this, but by the 1770s, potatoes are everywhere in France. No one's really eating them. And then the French Revolution happens. Mass famine, a cooling period also happens temperature-wise, and no one has what to eat. That famous line from Marie Antoinette, if you can't eat bread, then they shall eat cake. I mean, it's like craziness, but they all eat potatoes. That's what there is. The potatoes had been planted, cultivated 20 years before the famine happened, and they had potatoes to go to. By 1800, potatoes have spread in all of Northern Europe, and the Germans are making potato salad, potato soup, potato bread, potato flour, potato dumplings, potato latkes. They called it something else, but potatoes are everywhere amongst the peasantry, not really the hoi polloi. They still don't get on board with the potatoes. In fact, in America, until the 1850s, potatoes are reserved for livestock only. It's only when German immigrants come to America, the potato becomes really important. And next time we talk about potatoes, we're going to introduce the Jews to the potatoes. But for today, smashed potatoes. So what I did was, it's so hot, the aluminum foil is coming off. Smashed potatoes, yes. What I have here is potatoes, which I cooked, covered, you saw like really, really well covered in the oven at super, super high heat. And as you could tell, there's still water because I put like a half a cup of water in the pan so they would steam in the oven. So give me a moment while I dry up the water. So my potatoes steamed in the oven, super high temperature with a bit of water. I drained water. I'm also using a paper towel to dry off my pan. Careful because it's still hot. And do you have one of these? Do you see? Mine's totally bent. I never ever use it. I remember it's there when I open my drawer and it gets stuck and then you can't open the drawer and then you're like fumbling. Everyone's got one of these. And this is the only reason I use it is to smash my potatoes. So I don't want to smash them too much and I don't want too much of this happening. So another way of doing this is use a plate, use another baking tin. I'm gonna go for the plate method because I'm not really liking what's happening with that guy. So see, that's a little too smashed. I really want the skin to stay intact. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we got a plate and we're smashing away the potatoes, and we really want this to stay super simple. I don't want too many ingredients in here. This is really meant for the kids to have an amazing treat. So I'm going for simple olive oil, salt, and pepper. After I smash all my potatoes, which I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drizzle a ton of olive oil. We'll start even now. You could do a little bit before, a little bit after, and we're gonna shake the potatoes in the olive oil so they get really nice and covered. You'll think, wow, that's not a lot of potatoes, but I really want to give them a lot of space, social isolation, social distancing for the potatoes, so they have room to become super crispy in the oven. Sliding potatoes. This is fun. It gets out a little bit of frustration. Who knew smashing a potato could be this much fun? So all my potatoes are smashed. They've got room around them, as you could see, because I want them to get super crisp edges. Some are like downright broken, but those may end up being the best pieces. You never know. All right, loads of pepper, loads of salt. I love this Madeline sea salt. Madeline? I don't know. My pronunciation of like doing things properly in British really lacks. And then I'm going in with loads more olive oil because they're kind of gonna like fry, roast, bake all at once. So as I said, 20 minutes on super high. We flip them over. Don't flip them over. Just give them a shake, whatever works for you, and back for another 20 minutes. Crispy and golden and delicious. People in your house will love you for this. You may not love yourself because you may eat the whole thing, but hurrah for the potato. Look after yourselves. Do some plate smashing. You'll feel better for it. Maybe. All right, keeping it real. See you soon.